Hello everybody, how is it going, and welcome to another episode of Amps in the XFX3. Today we're going to continue with our series on the Carol Ann amps. We're looking at the Carol Ann Triptik. If this is your first time here, make sure you go subscribe because I don't want you to miss any of the cool things that we got going on here. So let's take a look at the Triptik. So in the XFX itself, we have three modes from it, which is exactly like the real amp. We have a clean mode, we have the classic mode, and we have the modern mode. Basically on the amp, it's a 3-channel amp. The way it's set up, that Alan set up, is that you have your clean channel, you have your rhythm channel, and you have your lead channel. And you have a classic and you have a modern switch on it. It kind of shifts the mids around. So you can really do classic or modern on either channel, but the way they model it in the XFX is they model each channel with the knobs on, which is really cool. For those who don't know, Alan Phillips, who builds the Carol Ann amps, he's good friends with Cliff, so he actually signs off on every Carol Ann that's in the XFX, which I find is really cool because it's like it's his creation and he's making sure it sounds how it does in his head and he can get it as close to the real amp as possible. The story with Carol Ann amps is how they came to be is Alan moved from England to the United States, and as soon as he did, he joined the band. All of his stuff was still on the boat coming over to the US. He needed an amp, and he'd been working on them for years, so he decided to build one. And it ended up costing a lot of money and taking way too long, and he ended up having it like on his kitchen table because he really didn't have anything else. And he ended up naming it after his wife, which was Carol Ann, because he thought he would like smooth it over with her. And he's like, "Look, baby, I named it after you." Anyway, he ended up getting divorced from his wife, Carol Ann, but he ended up keeping the name because she said that he could keep the name and it's fine. So that's a little story on Carol Ann amps, and they're really great amps. They're boutique type of amps. People kind of call them D-style amps, which kind of refer to like a Dumbo style amp, and they're very, very, very great. People who have actually used them in the XFX have actually bought them in real life because they love them so much in the XFX. Anyway, enough of me talking. Let's actually get to the amps and the channels and talk about them a little bit. So IR-wise, we're going to be using a GGD Zilla oversized 412 cab with a SM57 and some V30s. I find all the Carol Ann amps are pretty picky about their speakers. Alan has said that the real life amps are picky about their speakers. I find it's the same way in the actual XFX too, so don't be afraid to try a bunch of different IRs. So let's check out the classic mode. The way I dialed in the classic mode was I kind of wanted it like more like a classic rock type of feel, not too heavily overdriven, just kind of like a, you know, like some grit, but not too much. Really laid back. So the input and overdrive, the input kind of flavors the tone that you're getting. It kind of shifts the mids around. The overdrive doesn't have any really tonal difference. There's no particular reason why I have it set up like this. I just thought it sounded better. Let's actually reverse it. Let's come down with this and put the overdrive up. It's kind of how I do a lot of the other amps. Kind of sound a little better like that. If you want it thicker, you can do it like I had before. You know, you jack it up like that and you come it down and it's a little bit thicker. Really just all depends on what kind of tone that you are going for. And of course, we heard the clean in the opening. I just have a little bit of reverb. This is literally the default reverb, right? I literally just loaded up and put it on there just to kind of give it a little room to breathe. Just show you in the IR, I just have a little bit of room sound. So I'm not doing very, very much. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. So EQ wise, I just take some mids out. This amp has so much mids. Jeez. Okay, let's do EQ on and off. Amp so gnarly and it's bites your head off if you're not careful with it. So let's move on to the modern mode. So the modern mode, I tried to dial it in with a little more gain, because whenever you have this switch on, it kind of gives it a little bit more oomph in the original amp. So, you know, I kind of wanted to say, you know, we have the classic mode in here, and then the modern mode is a little bit more modern, a little bit more gain. Of course, took a little bit of the bass out, took some more mids out. Let's do EQ on and off since I'm right here. I do have a very deep scoop in it, but this amp has like so much mids. So watch, just this is gonna be like super snarly. Sorry if that doesn't sound very good. To be honest with you, I fight with these amps. Like, I like them, but I fight with them so much. I've gone through a lot of IRs. I've gone through a bunch of different guitars trying to get it to sound good, at least to present it to you guys, and it kicked my butt a little bit. So I find the best way to do it for me is just to keep the overdrive kind of low, and definitely keep the input drive low. Keeps things nice and. You can also use a drive with it too, but you get kind of the same deal going on. It gets a little bit raspy if you want a little bit more drive. And the Carol Ann Triptik, it has a lot of teeth to it. It's not like its older brother, which we're going to be covering in the next episode, the Tucana. The Tucana is very smooth, it's very light, same IR. So the Tucana itself is actually a 3-channel amp, but we only actually have one channel from it in the Axe-Fx. That's the lead channel from it, and this one is really great. Like, the Tucana is very, like, smooth and like delicate. I don't say delicate, but it's like very smooth and creamy compared to the Triptik. The Triptik, it's a little bit more rough around the edges, I guess you could say, but it has its very own character. So let me just kind of give you a little sample of Tunica. So you see what I mean? The Tucana is very smooth, and the Triptik has a lot of R in it. But guys, that's going to wrap things up for the Carol Ann Triptik. Next week's going to be the final episode in the series of the Carol Ann amps. We're going to be looking at the Tucana, which I just gave you a little sample of. Guys, make sure you are subscribed if you're not, because I really don't want you to miss any of the cool videos we got going on here. If you thought this video was cool, guys, please leave me a like. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to catch you in the next one. I'm going to have to be out. Peace.